So what I really want to say to you, the graduates, is thank you. And I mean that very deeply. I so admire your creativity and your courage, and I'm glad that you're here in the world at this time. And you also made a courageous choice to study at an unusual university. And as I see you, you came to learn, to serve, and to transform the world. I really suspect that you didn't come here to extract the world's resources mindlessly or to perpetuate endless wars. You clearly came as healers and weavers of sanity, and for that I'm very grateful. And also you have taken to heart the work of the Jedi, and that is justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion that is absolutely essential to a just, sane, compassionate, and vibrant world. So thank you for this work. And I think it's really important to point out that you learned on 3 levels: the outer level, the interpersonal level, and the inner. And I think this is tremendously important. So not only did you study the invaluable outer level of the intellect and academic rigor, you also bravely had to bare your hearts to learn the interpersonal level of emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills. And also you dove deep into the inner work of contemplative practices, coming to know your states of mind and heart and your own innate wisdom. So these 3 skills, I think, are tremendously important for these times. And as I thought about speaking with you today, it came to my mind that I've been in academia, either studying or teaching for half a century, which is a long time. And and thus, I've heard many graduation speeches at both government and private universities. And I realized that there's I noticed if we had to summarize it, there's an important underlying theme to these talks, often anyway. And one is we want to inspire our students to serve the world because we need you. And we also let you know that we hope that you will repair the damage we have done and the messes that we have made. And I realized that all this time, because I've taught in environmental studies and ecopsychology, I've been listening and waiting to hear something particular in a talk. And what I've been waiting for is the elephant in the room, and that is climate change. And climate change not as a bumper sticker comment or the last in a list of problems too big to discuss, but I want to put it in the forefront. And I feel a bit disingenuous asking you to fix up the messes that we have created. And I was really moved by the words of Greta Thunberg, who you probably know is a very young climate activist. And her words really affected me. She said, "Yet you all come to us, young people, for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. People are suffering." And so, although I do feel disingenuous, I am counting on you. And that means our graduates, but everyone in this room and beyond. I'm counting on all of us. And this is quite a huge topic, and we only have a few moments together. So what I want to do together is go to the heart of it, to really go straight to the heart of our relationship with climate change. So we know that none of us are unaffected by climate change as we experience it at this moment in time. I say, for myself, that we're past the stage of believing or not believing. All we need to do is look out our window or read the news for the news of fires and floods and droughts and flooding coastlines all over the world. And it affects every walk of life and discipline. And that means your discipline: art therapy, psychology, religious studies, poetry and writing, education, yoga, dance, environmental studies, music, and ecopsychology. So there's no escape. So what do we do? This was a question that was asked every year. I would take students to the National Center of Atmospheric Research here in Boulder. These are the Peace Prize winning climate scientists there. And about 12 years ago, I remember a particular moment when I was there with some students, and they were sitting at the foot of a climate scientist whose name is Jeffrey Keel. He's one of the Nobel Peace Prize winners. That was about 12 years ago. And the students asked that question, but they really trusted him. And they trusted him because he had done the interpersonal, and the inner work. He had been a climate scientist for 30 years doing analysis and study and research. But he began to wonder about why people were not understanding it. And so in the same time period, he went out and got himself a PhD in Jungian psychology. He wanted to understand these interpersonal things, how do we be? And he also then realized that there was another layer that was so tremendously important, and that was the inner work. And that was the work of meditation. So he began to study his own inner working, so to speak, and he became a teacher of that. So the students really trusted that he had given this full consideration when they asked that question, what do we do now? And he said, scientists have made it clear and have given all the necessary information and data. Scientists have done everything to communicate this, but now we need everyone else to take it forward. So what does that mean? Does it mean that we change our light bulbs and recycle and try to get enough money to get a solar panel? Yes, but there's so much more. That's important, but I want to go to another place. We're going to aim into the heart of it. And one thing we need to do is talk to each other deeply and to call forth the deepest wisdom in every person that we meet. This is a very deep level of the work that's needed. And we need to really listen and talk to each other about this. And when, in this beautiful and simple way of being authentic together, we can call forth unimaginable love and creativity that each of us hold, inviting unknown emergent properties and insights to arise. So this is the capacity of all of us. And also, we do need to repair our relationship with the more than human world. And I'm going to speak, the inspiring field of ecopsychology reminds us of our inseparability with all life, that is, our whole family, inviting us to finally remember and honor the wisdom of indigenous peoples and all of what all of our ancestors knew. And there are many wonderful people in the field of ecopsychology. It's emerging. There's some of them in the audience graduating today. There they are. And there are many leaders, and I want to just mention specifically our very own Joanna Macy, who really taught how to sit and be present with grief and step through that doorway to the awakening of who you are and what you can do in this world. And I want to give you my definition of ecopsychology. I've often been in places where many people have never heard of it, and this is the way I explained it. Everyone's got their own definition, and this is mine. So in Western psychology and the development of it, there was a desire to really help people, to really find the well-being and support the person in fulfilling their life and their well-being. But very quickly, it's obvious that we have to work with the family. We can't work with a person in isolation. We need to know the family dynamics and the family constellations and this other world that becomes intimate with that one person. And then we also began to attend to systemic issues, the cultural and the social structures that surround the person and all that influences us. And that includes structures that cling to racism, oppression, and abuse that affect our lives. So we really needed to look at this larger family. And now ecopsychology steps in with the understanding of the issues of our whole family, that is the living earth, our living earth that affects us. So we cannot avoid grief or despair with climate change through denial. We can't just pretend it's not there because we are part of that whole. It is our whole family. And I hope to say to you, which, I hope, I really think it's true, it's a doorway. Grief is a doorway. Grief is a good sign because we love our earth, and it opens the doorways to your love and capacity. And so I think together we can find the unreasonable joy of working together to rebalance the human relationship with earth. And as the acclaimed scientist James Lovelock pointed out to us, it's not like we're sitting around on a dead ball with an atmosphere that's just hanging around. We, all living beings, co-create and balance the atmosphere on a daily basis. We're breathing together to create the atmosphere in which we live, and that means all living things. So there is no sense of a dead earth. And as part of a living, self-regulating earth, it operates like a body. Just as a human body can heal from illness, together we may self-regulate and rebalance the earth. So, and now, not too many moments away from holding your diploma in your hand, I'm going to give you your last assignment. It's very brief, and it's for the students and it's for everybody in the room, because we together will do this together. So it's a very short contemplative practice, and I invite you just to go deeply. We'll just be taking a moment to do this together, but we'll be doing it together. And so first, let's just simply maybe look a little bit around the room here and take a deep breath together. So we're going to take that breath at the same time together. And then you may choose with your eyes open or closed as you please. You're going to settle into your chair and just simply let thinking rest. Let thinking simply rest and be present here together at this moment. And now I ask you to visualize something. Visualize yourself standing before the council of all life, all living beings, and you can feel them all around you. Everyone is here. The ponderosa pines, the mountain lions, the rattlesnakes, the moths, the whales, the egrets, the geckos, the sardines, the roses, the vast mycelial web, the aspens, the rivers, the mountains, the winds and the clouds. Everyone has spoken. And now we humans must step forward to speak. It is our turn. It is your turn. And imagine now that a teeny bird, a wren, comes to land on your wrist, and it looks at you and peers at you quizzically and asks the question that you must answer within the inner silence of your own heart. And here is the question: what wild, outrageous love will you bring to rebalancing our world? What does your heart say? And now, as you felt that, you can open your eyes. And I just want to say that we have met there. We together have met in the heart, calling forth the emerging path ahead. So I am bowing to your courage and all the gifts that you bring. Thank you.